would request all of you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I would request all of you to repeat the sentences after me of affirmation. I love myself the way I am.
Love myself.
I can manage positive and negative situations both easily.
I can manage positive and negative situations both easily.
I can easily see the best in others.
I can easily see the best in others.
I can easily see the best in situations.
I can easily see the best situations.
Thank you. We'll start with the psychosocial interventions in mental health, where we will cover CBT, MBCT, that is mindfulness-based interventions, role of interpersonal therapy, and how to develop social support systems. But before that, I would like to know from you, if you face this scenario, just imagine if you are in this scenario, you send an important message to a friend and after 24 hours, there is no reply. What would be the first thought which will come to your mind? Can you reply it in the chat box? What will be the first thing which will come to your mind?
The Shreosi, okay.
Please type it in the chat box. Not well or busy. Okay. Is all well. Okay. Could be in some danger. Not well. Avoiding. Not well. Hope all is well. Others. What will be your thought? Busy or something is wrong. Okay, fair enough. Whether everything is okay or not, worried. Okay, fair enough. Now, all of us were thinking something negative, right? We were worried, we were tense, we were angry, right? That is because our things are conditioned in our mind in such a way, right? That we think the negatives, right? And that is normal, right? However, what if maybe we would have reacted in certain different manners? For example, let's say I'll give you another scenario. Okay. Let's say, imagine you're sitting in a clinic and two clients walk in. Both have depression, both report sadness, loss of motivation, poor sleep, and hopelessness. Both receive the same antidepressant medication. 6 months later, one client has returned to work, connected with friends, started exercising, and feels hopeful. The other client reports, I still feel stuck. Nothing has really changed. My life still feels empty. Now, as psychologists, we must ask, if the symptoms improved somewhat, why didn't life improve? The answer reveals one of the most important truths in mental health. That is, recovery is not simply the reduction of symptoms, it is the building of a life. Medication can influence the brain chemistry, but medication alone cannot challenge self defeating beliefs, teach coping skills, improve communication, repair relationships, increase resilience, create meaning and purpose. This is why psychosocial interventions are so important. They target the human experience behind the diagnosis. Okay, behind the diagnosis. And they help people learn how to think, feel, behave, connect, and live differently. So that's why we are going to study different kinds of psychosocial interventions today to understand how and when what to apply. Yeah. Starting with the first one, that is CBT. Before CBT became popular, many people assumed emotional suffering had happened automatically. Something bad happens, you feel bad, very simple. But CBT challenged this assumption. What did CBT say? That psychologists discovered that there is something important. Important what? Important sitting between an event and an emotion. Our interpretation of the event. not what happened, but what we tell ourselves about what happened. This idea is beautifully summarized by a famous statement often attributed to the ancient philosophers, that is, people are disturbed not by things but by the views they take of them. Okay. Now I'll share with you the story of three employees. Okay. Imagine three employees receive the exact same email. Can you guys hear my cat? Can you guys hear any background noise? No? Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Because my cats are there and they are just meowing. So that's why I wanted to just confirm whether you are able to hear that. So let's say I mail you, please see me in my office tomorrow morning or please meet me tomorrow morning. Okay. Nothing more, no explanation, no details. So one of you might think that I probably need to discuss a project, which emotion is neutral, behavior is continuous work, continue with your day-to-day life. Now let's say another person think that I must have done something wrong, that's why she wants to meet me. So the feeling would be anxiousness, you will not be able to concentrate in your work, your behavior would be you will be having maybe loss of appetite or you will sleep poorly. Now the third employee thinks the worst, that is, I am definitely going to get out of the course or get fired from the course. So the emotion will be panic. The behavior would be spending night, maybe catastrophizing or thinking the worst case scenarios. So it's the same email, but different individuals. So different thoughts, different emotions, and different behaviors. And this is the foundation of CBT. Okay. This is the exact foundation of CBT. CBT says that our thought, behavior, and our emotions are in a triangle. Okay. So, what we tell ourselves is our thoughts, what we feel is emotions, and how we behave, that is what we do, is the behavior. These constantly influence one another. Think of them as a triangle. If one corner changes, the other changes too. Okay. Now, I'll give you an example of social anxiety. Whenever I go to a party, I feel everyone will judge me. What is the emotion? Fear. What do? I avoid parties. Okay. Consequences? No opportunity to learn, people are accepting too. And my thought is strengthened that see, social situations are dangerous. The cycle continues. CBT interrupts the cycle. Okay. Most people only notice their emotions. I feel anxious, I feel sad, I feel angry. CBT teaches us to look beneath the surface. Imagine an iceberg. The visible top is emotion. Underneath lies a much larger structure of thoughts and belief system. Underneath that structure, there is one thing called as automatic thoughts. What is automatic thoughts? These are rapid mental messages that flash through our minds. They happen so quickly that many people don't even notice them. For example, I am going to fail. Nobody likes me. I am embarrassing myself. Something terrible will happen. These thoughts often feel like objective facts, but they are interpretations, not reality. For example, a student receives a B grade. The automatic thought is, I am stupid. Emotion is disappointment. Behavior is stops trying. So what happens? The grade did not create hopelessness. The interpretation of the grade did. Right. Now, why automatic thoughts are so convincing? Imagine wearing blue tinted glasses your entire life. So whatever you will see will be blue. Eventually, you stopped noticing the glasses. You assume the reality itself is blue. Automatic thoughts work the same way. People often assume if I think it, it must be true. And CBT helps people remove the glasses and inspect them, that whether the glass is showing the correct color or not. Am I clear? Great. Let's move on to the next two things. Underlying assumptions. Under automatic thoughts are deeper rules people develop. These rules often sound like I must never fail, everyone must like me, I should always be strong, I should never need help. These assumptions guide behavior. For example, a therapist asks a client, why is making a mistake so upsetting? Client tells, because mistakes mean people won't respect me. Therapist, and if people don't respect you, what will happen? Client says, then I am a failure. Now we are uncovering the deeper assumption that if I make a mistake, I will be a failure and people will not respect me. That is the assumption. What is the core belief? Core belief is the deepest level. Core beliefs are fundamental conclusions. For example, you make mistakes, you are worthless. You couldn't achieve this, you are incompetent. You are not seen by others, you are unlovable. Okay, so these are usually formed through childhood experiences. They become psychological lenses through which all experiences are interpreted. Common core beliefs include about self, about others, and about the world. What about self? That is, I am worthless, I am incompetent, I am unlovable. About others, people will hurt me, nobody can be trusted, people are villain. About the world is cruel, the world is unsafe, life is unfair. So you develop a belief system altogether, right? That this is how it is supposed to be. Am I clear? Yeah? Great. Now, before going to cognitive distortions, I would like to highlight something very nice. One is that is how a core belief is developed. Imagine a child is repeatedly criticized, repeatedly. Every mistake is met with, you are useless. Why can't you do anything right? Over time, the child may stop hearing specific criticisms. Instead, they believe a global belief. For example, something is wrong with me. Years later, one workplace mistake may reactivate that belief. This is why seemingly small events can trigger enormous emotional reactions. The event touches a much deeper wound. And that's why people develop one of the CBT's most powerful contribution, that is cognitive distortion, the mind's optical illusions, identifying systematic thinking errors. Think of them as psychological optical illusions. The brain presents them as reality, but they are distorted perception. First such thing is catastrophizing. Okay. Yeah. First such thing is catastrophizing. The brain jumps immediately to the worst possible outcome. For example, your boss says we need to talk. But okay, we need to talk. Your boss says, and you imagine that you are being fired. The boss just wanted a clarification for the report. Okay. Am I able to talk to you? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? Great. Then let's say the second one, that is overgeneralization. One event becomes a universal truth. Okay, so here what happens is, let's say you have failed one exam, right? You will assume that you are a failure in life and no one will ever love you. The brain takes one data point and treats it as a whole story. Okay, now coming to mind reading, believing we know what others think. For example, everyone thinks I am awkward. They think I am incompetent. They are judging me. The remarkable thing, no evidence is required. The brain simply assumes. Okay. Now let's say I give you a scenario. Okay. You are presenting. Okay. You are presenting and One of the students seems distracted. Okay. What will you think about yourself? Please type it in the chat box. Exactly. What did you do? You assumed on their behalf. When I told you, let's say you are giving a presentation and someone is not listening to you, right? You assumed something. So you're mind reading. Is it clear? Clear, everyone? Give me thumbs up if it is clear. You read other people's mind. है ना? है ना? That's what exactly we do. Right? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Black and white thinking. Okay? Also called all or nothing thinking. Reality exists in shades of gray too, but we forget that. The distorted mind sees only the extremes: perfect or failure, success or loser, loved or rejected. Okay? For example, a therapist asks, "How did your interview go?" And you say, "Terrible." After discussion, what we find out is you answered most of the questions, only you struggled with one or two questions. That's you are thinking that all your things have gone wrong. Am I able to reach out to you? Guys, this is a very important section. That's why I'm asking so many times. Okay. Let's say I tell you that, Ambika, you are calling me, you're calling me, and I would prefer, because I also have a family life. So I would prefer that if you call me only once a week, or maybe, once in a day, right? I won't be able to pick up that much of your calls. And you assume that I am trying to ignore you, or I am not paying attention to you, or I'm not a nice friend to you. Okay? You assume that. And you assume the worst negative. That is all or nothing thinking. But, or let's say I tell you that, you know what, we are having space issue in a relationship. So why don't we talk a little less? And you assume that, oh my God, my boyfriend is so understanding. There's nothing to be understanding here. It is just a concern. Or you assume that, oh my God, he needs space from me. That means he's talking to someone else. So either you are assuming the extreme positive, or you are assuming the extreme negative. In both the cases, you are going for black or white, the extremes. That is known as all or nothing thinking. Am I able to reach out to you now? Great. Fifth is personalization. Okay. Assuming responsibility for events outside one's control. Okay. For example, one of your friends, so a few days back, it happened that my best friend was not talking with me. Okay. And she is someone ना, अगर मैं छींक भी मारूं मेरे को उसको बोलना पड़ता है. ठीक है. She is someone like that in my life. So when she was not talking to me, the first thought which came to my mind was, my God, I've again done something wrong and I have no clue what I've done. ठीक है. But the reality was she lost her nanny. And she didn't tell me because I do not deal with death in a very good way. Like, I don't know all of you personally, right? I don't know all of you personally. But if you tell me that anything has happened in your family, it will affect me. Okay? It will affect me as a person, right? And I will be like, oh my God, why this thing happened? Am I able to reach out to you? Yeah. So that's why she didn't tell me, right? But just imagine, she didn't tell me because she assumed, she mind read that I will get affected. And I took it personally. So she did mind reading. And what I did was personalization. Because her mood was off, I assumed that I did something wrong. Am I able to reach out to you? This was the thought component of CBT. Now coming to the, okay, one thing, did you understand about all of these thoughts? That CBT is not positive thinking. Okay. This is a common misunderstanding. CBT does not teach you how to think happy thoughts. It teaches you how to think accurately, right? So it does not replace that I am a failure with I am perfect. Instead, they ask you what evidence supports your conclusion. Okay. What evidence contradicts it? What would you say to a friend in the same situation? The goal is realistic thinking, not blind optimism. Is that clear? Am I able to reach out to you? Is that clear? Now, moving on to the behavioral component. Now comes a crucial insight. Many clients understand their thoughts intellectually. Okay. Right. And, you know, how to say, yet they remain stuck. Right. Why? Because change also requires action. Thoughts and behavior reinforce each other. If I talk about avoidance specifically, the hidden fuel of many disorders, right? Avoidance feels helpful temporarily, right? It's just like a cigarette. It will give you happiness for the first few seconds, but at the end of the day, it is harmful for lungs, right? Similarly, avoidance feels helpful temporarily, but it strengthens fear. Imagine someone with social anxiety. They avoid parties. For what? Immediate result is anxiety reduces. But what does brain learn? Avoidance works. So long-term result, fear grows stronger, confidence shrinks, and life becomes smaller. Clear? Okay. Now, if I talk about a technique, which is very nice technique, that is behavioral activation. It is a technique of CBT. Okay. So in behavioral activation, it is first of all the antidote to depression. Do you know what is antidote? You know what is antidote? My cat meows as if she knows what is antidote. So yeah, antidote is basically a medication, right? Medication. So depression often creates a vicious cycle. Low mood, withdrawal, reduced activity, fewer positive experiences, lower mood, more withdrawal. लूप में चलता है. समझ आई? है ना? Now, what does therapist do? Therapists encourage a gradual re-engagement. For example, let's say Arjun. Arjun used to play cricket, meet friends, exercise. After becoming depressed, he stops all three. Soon, life contains very little pleasure, right? His brain receives less positive reinforcement. Mood worsens. A CBT therapist does not wait for motivation to return. Instead, they teach action often comes before motivation. So Arjun begins with 10 minutes walk, one phone call, 5 minutes of cricket practice. Small actions gradually restore the momentum. Clear? Clear? Now comes exposure therapy. This is generally used in anxiety, that is learning through experience. What does it say? So, anxiety says avoid, CBT says approach gradually. Okay. Imagine a woman terrified of public speaking. She believes if I speak, everyone will laugh. Instead of reassurance, CBT creates fear of hierarchy. For example, first step, speak in front of the mirror. Second step, speak to the therapist. Third step, speak to two friends. Fourth step, small group. And five step, formal presentation. Through repeated exposure of talking in front of people or self, the brain learns the danger I predicted does not occur. This is not merely understanding, it is experiential learning. And experiential learning changes people deeply. Clear? Clear, everyone? Great. Now, CBT applications. Okay. CBT can be applied anywhere. Okay. Anywhere. Okay. CBT can be applied in depression, anxiety disorders, as I studied, taught you right now. Exposure therapy and for depression is behavioral activation, right? For panic disorder, OCD, PTSD, eating disorder, all these are part of anxiety disorders itself. So all of them can be done through exposure therapy. Another thing which you can, which CBT works for, that is cognitive restructuring in case of insomnia and substance use disorders. Okay, that is where I change the cognitive distortion to a positive thought. Clear? Clear, everyone? Mindfulness. We are moving forward to. How many of you drink coffee or tea? I'll tell you a scenario. So, I used to be a person, today also, I think, today also my morning started this way. I had a session at 10. Okay. I woke up at 9:47. Okay. I was in so much of rush. And I was like, my day didn't start at the way it generally starts. So I feel right now also, I feel, as you can see, I'm yawning a bit. Okay. I feel like, like my eyes are literally, it is opening, but somewhere I'm lacking in energy. I feel that, right? That is because I energize myself every morning with a mindfulness based intervention with my small cup of, not small, actually big cup of black coffee. Okay. So I have my black coffee. Yeah. And I sit in a balcony if I have a balcony wherever I'm staying, or I sit in front of a window. I sip my black coffee. I have my earphones on. It's either Hanuman Chalisa or some sort of Indian instrumental sitar. No, without sugar. Without sugar. Okay. Um, and I have a book. Okay, it's a self-help book, but my supervisor has suggested me not to read any of the self-help books anymore. I'm becoming too philosophical, according to her. So she has suggested me a political book, something on Marxism. I need to get that book also. So she suggested me, and any book, basically any book, 1 page or 2 page, I read. If no book is available, I read one article of psychology itself. That is my time. It grounds me. Now, why I stated today's example. Today also I had coffee. ऐसा नहीं है कि coffee नहीं मिला. Because only otherwise I wouldn't, my eyes would have been like this. Okay. So my eyes are open because of coffee. I also had coffee today. But वो coffee कब आई कब गई मेरे को नहीं पता. Because when I was having the coffee, I was also giving lecture. So the coffee was here. And after I think 5 slides, the coffee was over. I was like, यार ये था क्या? कब पिया मैंने कॉफी? So my mind is like, I'm able to concentrate, but I'm not satisfied. I'm not in you know fix, like, in a very nice thought process. Yeah, right. That happens because it becomes difficult. You are, maybe somewhere, my mind is just there, I have to do this, I have to do that. I might be thinking about giving you an assignment right now. Or maybe, like, the thoughts are wandering. So that's what mindfulness is. Like, it differs, right? Yeah. Am I able to reach out to you? Yeah. Okay. Now I'm giving you a small audio. Okay. I want you to listen to that audio. Yeah. I want you to listen to that audio. Okay. And come back. Yeah. Okay. It is of 10 hours, not 10 hours I'll give you to think like that, right? Just think about it for 5 minutes. Yeah. And It's a YouTube video. I'm giving it to you in chat, right? Have you got the link? Yeah. Hear this and imagine something which is peaceful to you. Any sight of rain, because it's rainy season. That's why I'm focusing on rain. So think about this and come back after 5 minutes. Yeah. Click on the link and the video will be on. Okay. It's rain sounds normal. Yeah. Just close your eyes and visualize something. Hi. Is it done? Okay. How did you feel? Relaxing, right? Sleepy. Okay. Calm and nostalgic. Okay. Now, what happened right now? Whatever you are listening to, you were present there fully, right? Because you were asked to, right? And that is exactly why mindfulness based interventions are used. Because most of the times in our life, we are, you know, drawn towards either thinking about the past or thinking about the future. Okay. So, in both the cases, we either regret or we get anxious. But when we are listening to such audios, closing our eyes, thinking just of the audio which is present right there, we are momentarily disconnecting ourselves from the worry of the past and the future and focusing just on the present. We are living the present. And that's why we are able to calm ourselves down. Right? Now, in our autopilot living nowadays, our life is so fast forward. We are eating by watching television. We are we are coming back from work with the work with us because thanks to technology, right? So there is no cut off. There's no cut that our work time is over, our life is over, right? There has been moments where I've replied to my clients around 12 in the morning, like 12 a.m. because I remembered at that point of time, array, I was out with my friends and I remembered, array, I forgot to mail. I'm mailing, right? So in spite of the day that I am in a get together, but I'm not mentally present there. I'm in my work, right? As a psychologist, I'm telling you this. And to interrupt this automatic mode, we need to relax and we need to use the components of mindfulness. We need to be aware about the present. So it is very hard for me, like you would have asked this Shreosi to give a lecture on mindfulness technique 3 years before. I would have said, no, I cannot think it can exist. But now, um, I am a person who lives in the present. Okay. How, and at times it happens that, कभी कभी थोड़ा सा गलती हो जाता है, भूल जाती हूँ थोड़ा सा, एंड कभी कभी याद आता है ऐसे और करती हूँ, तो तब अपने आप को तुरंत ठीक करती हूँ. I rectify myself there and there, right? I work on it immediately because the first thing a psychologist need to work on is mindfulness. Because if you are not mindful about the present, you are not able to hear to your clients nicely. So the first sign I got, I think I got it on Wednesday. This Wednesday itself, I got the first sign that situations are a little bit going dicey. So what happened was I forgot to mail my clients, and I mailed at 12 a.m. that these are the things you need to do. These are the things. This is the time your session has been allotted. Yeah, blah blah blah. And my friend was like, she was like, "What are you doing? You're with me. I'm telling you my dress selection." And mind you, dress selection for an event is a very big discussion for a woman. Okay. So she was doing that important discussion and I lost interest and I was like, message, like, I remembered that, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I did it. And she was like, you're not being mindful. Then and there, I understood and I started practicing from that next day morning itself. Again, my same mindfulness coffee and, reading a book and and focusing here. And yesterday, something very much beautiful happened. So, my flight was facing turbulence. Okay, turbulence to a limit that I felt that, oh my God, आज तो Saturday का session गया. Okay, I am gone. Okay, so I started playing Bollywood music in my ears, and I was like, okay, even if I die, it's fine. I will listen to music and I'll dance and I'll stay in the present. And the person sitting next to me was like, you are listening to this when everyone is panicking? I'm like, yeah, because if I die, I want my soul to dance and die, not panic and die. And I realized that I have reached the zenith of mindfulness, that I am actually focusing on Bollywood songs while the plane is going like literally up and down. Okay, I'm like, okay. And I told my friends, and they're like, "Okay, you know what? You have reached the epitome of mindfulness." They are also therapists. Like, you have reached the epitome of mindfulness, acceptance that anything can happen. So let's enjoy the moment. And I was enjoying the moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm dead. Maybe. So yeah, so that was like I was in a situation like that, which was distressful, but I enjoyed it because I know that the music which was being played was really nice, right? So that was my way of, I think, being in the moment, even in the worst situation where I literally had a phobia that I might not be there, right? I was scared. I was very scared, right? So that is how mindfulness can help you, you know. Now, coming to the stress based reduction. So, there are various stress based reduction. The one which I showed you right now is like, guided visualization. The one we did in the beginning also is guided visualization. There is breathing techniques, okay, like four square breathing. There is body scan exercises, okay. All of these can be used to decrease your stress and anxiety, okay. It helps you to reduce your medical illness, chronic pain, and everything. Yeah, clear? Okay. Mindfulness based cognitive therapy. Now, this is a mixture of mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapy. In mindfulness, you are just you're just doing, being present in the moment. In addition to cognitive behavioral therapy, with this, you will also turn the negative thoughts to the positive ones. For example, yesterday when I was going through that turbulence, I was not just thinking that things will go wrong. I was also thinking that at least I'm enjoying the moment, and I will, if anything happens, I am happy, right? I have done my duties. I know things are secure, so I'm happy. Next, I'll give you an example. I don't know how many of you know, but this year on my it's my 30th birthday, uh, which happened this year, and I lost my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, on my birthday. Okay, I don't know how many of you know, but I lost him on my birthday. Okay, many people said, and I was sad also, obviously losing a person who is so important to you. I think he was the first person after my mom and dad who held me, when I was a newborn, right? So it was very special. He was a very special person to me. And when he passed away, I was very sad. I was broken. I was broken. Okay. Everyone was sad around me. I was there picking up picking up the, I don't know. I know in many traditions it's not allowed, but in Bengalis we do that. Like, we can also pick the, because there was no one. So I also picked the bed, okay, and went in the end, right? And doing all of that right the day after my birthday. So when I was doing all of this, I was somewhere like, yes, he's gone, but he's not going through the same pain which he was going through. I came back, I was showering, and after the shower, when I sat with my audios on, I remember I was audios on, and I was listening to his voices. So I had his videos with me. Okay. I'm a person who makes a lot of videos. So I had his videos. I was listening to those, and I was being in the present that yes, he's not there. I accepted the thing. This is the mindfulness part. Where I did CBT was I thought that it is not the darkest day of my life. Rather, maybe he chose my birthday to give me a present to not see him in pain anymore. He chose my birthday to give him relief from the pain which he was going through. Okay. Because for him, I was the first granddaughter. For him, I am the first granddaughter who is not only studying but also motivating my other sisters to study. So he always had huge hopes from me. And I remember that when I last saw him, um, he told me one thing that PhD complete करना ठीक है. And the only reason I'm still holding on to my PhD is because I think that he released me from the pain, because he was seeing that he was constantly saying me, while he was lying on bed, शुए पर मतलब सो जाओ. But me being the granddaughter, I used to see throughout the night through the CCTV that whether he's sleeping or not, whether the nurse is taking care or not, right? And I remember him saying शुए पर. So, sleep, you have to study next day, right? So somewhere I think he gifted me this piece that now you do not have to think about all of this. You now focus on your studies. So I took it in this way, and after that point of time, I think I never regretted his death. Yes, I miss him, because every time I come to Kolkata, so yesterday only I was coming from airport, and I landed to my hometown Kolkata, and I was crossing the biryani place. I was like, यार अगर वो होते तो मैं शायद अभी उनके लिए खाना लेके जाती, because he was near about 90, but he loved all of this food, and he was healthy enough to take all of this food. So I was like, if he would have been there, so that thing is there, that that अगर वो होते तो शायद ये होता. But I think that it's okay, part of life, can't help it. So that's the way I was mindful. I accepted that he is not there, and also I you know I changed my thinking that maybe he thought me special enough to to take a peaceful breath, last breath, on my birthday. So I will not remember my birthday as a day when I lost my grandfather. I will remember my birthday as a day when I think I saw him getting released of the pain which he was going through. Yeah. Am I able to reach out to all of you? Yeah. So this is how you can combine your mindfulness based therapy with cognitive therapy and change your negative thinkings to the positive ones. Yeah, clear? Great. Now focusing on other mechanisms. So there are decentering, that is stepping back from the thoughts. So whatever you're thinking, just remove yourself from that thought and think from a third eye perspective. You will be able to see it better. Emotional regulation, that is, do not react, respond. Think before you are responding. Rationalize before responding. Because emotional explosions can always lead to damage. But if you respond and not react, things might change for you. Reduced rumination, that is, do not engage in a loop of negative thought. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Greater self compassion, be kinder to yourself. Okay. There is a meditation known as love kind meditation. If possible, try to listen to that. Love kind meditation. Okay. I'm not going to the case example. I've given my case example, so I'm avoiding this. Going to interpersonal therapy. Okay. I think all of us know that humans are social beings. We all are social beings. All of us agree. Yeah. Now I want you to imagine a situation. A woman comes to therapy feeling depressed. She reports persistent sadness, crying spells, low motivation, sleep difficulties, feeling of loneliness. Now imagine you are the therapist. Okay. One approach might be to ask what negative thoughts are causing your depression. Another approach might be to ask what happened in your relationships before the depression began. The second question, where you are asking about the relationships around the person, is interpersonal therapy. Because IPT starts with a powerful assumption: human beings do not suffer in alone, in isolation. We suffer, heal, grow, and find meaning within relationships. And often, when relationships become strained, disrupted, lost, or changed, psychological symptoms emerge. Okay. Now, why relationships matter so much? Have you thought about it? Let's reflect on something fundamental. Imagine a newborn. Can the infant survive alone? No. From the very beginning of life, human beings depend on others. We learn language. Okay. We learn language through others. We develop identity through others. We gain, emotional security through others. We experience love, rejection, belonging, conflict, support, loss through others. In many ways, relationships are the environment in which our psychological lives unfold. This means that when relationships become problematic, our mental health is often affected. Right? The hidden social side of depression, if I tell you, is because people do have a tendency of, withdrawing themselves. That is not done. Okay. Now, talking about the central philosophy of this IPT, it is the present. Okay, not primarily the distant past. Current relationships, not abstract personality theories. Practical change, not endless insight without action. The therapist asks, who is the important person in your life? What relationships are causing distress to you? What social changes have occurred recently? How can these relationships be improved? IPT is therefore highly focused, practical, and relational. Am I clear? Right? Now, think of mental health as an ecosystem. Okay. Think of it as an ecosystem. The plants represent mood, self-esteem, confidence, psychological well-being, and whatnot. Right? Yeah. Now imagine the soil. The soil represents relationship. If the soil becomes unhealthy, conflict increases, support decreases, loneliness grows. Even healthy plants begin to struggle. IBT focuses on improving the soil because healthier relationships often create healthier emotional lives. The four main problem areas in IPT are grief and bereavement. Okay. Why grief? Because grief is when we lose someone important. We don't just lose a person. We lose the daily routines with that person, shared memories, emotional support, future plans, parts of our identity, a companion, a confidant, a source of practical support. Right. So IPT recognizes the grief is natural. The goal is not to eliminate the grief. The goal is to help individual adapt to the loss. Let's say someone loses someone. The first question I ask is, what do you miss the most? Are there things you wish had been different? Are there unresolved regrets? What has changed in your daily life? Can you imagine? The questions are about how the person can process grief, maintain meaningful memories, and develop new routines and reconnect socially. Now, coming to the interpersonal disputes. Imagine waking up every day knowing you will argue with your spouse, or feeling constant tension with a parent, or experiencing ongoing conflict at work. The human nervous system is not designed to thrive under persistent relational stress. Over time, people may experience depression, anxiety, irritability, sleep problems, hopelessness. Now, why conflicts become toxic? Have anyone heard that? Understood that? Why it becomes problematic? सोचा है कभी? Because of failed communication. Conversation goes away. And relationship is like a dance, One person criticizes, the other withdraws. The first criticizes more, the second withdraws. What if the first person is criticizes and the second person just listens? Won't it bring the person closer? Rather than defending, putting a wall, if you up the wall and welcome the person that he has criticized, okay. Now, when you are done, can I? That dance of interaction actually maintains the relationship. Yeah. Third, role transitions. This is one of the most fascinating areas. Okay. When positive life changes, it can create, psychological distress too. For example, you have let's say you're going to marry. Okay. You will become a partner, a parent, a in law. You are having a lot of changes in your role. Do you think everyone will be adapted to the roles very nicely? I have seen my sisters doing blunder. I'm so sorry. Okay, they actually thought that that yes, ससुराल में क्योंकि मम्मी जी ने बोला है कि आप तो मेरी बेटी की तरह है. जो आप लोग रील्स नहीं देखते हो, रील्स देखा है कि बेटी की तरह है तो बेटी की तरह ही ऐसे चिल्ला के चाय मांग लेना, ये वो. One of my sister actually did that, and she was wearing lower and everything, and and she was criticized and she was very sad. फिर क्यों बोला ऐसे ये वो. That was so I told her that I can understand that you are going through a transitions and it's okay, a misunderstanding happened. Now try to understand their culture, you also communicate your culture, and let's negotiate a middle ground, no? But she's like, your transition is so difficult. One of my sister is now a mother recently, like the son is I think 1.5 year old. So uh, I see her, she's a person who literally used to, like drive the car when she was angry, drive the car at 100, 120, like, like speed mein ekdam. After becoming a mother, she doesn't increase her speed more than 60. I asked her why. She said that I'm not only a daughter right now or a didi right now, I'm also a mother. I have to be responsible. So for her, she accepted the transitions. She understands. But when we are again together, just me and my dee, I think she is again that person. But when the kid is in the car, she's a different person. She's someone whom I, frankly speaking, I do not recognize. Okay. But as a mother, she's completely different. Am I able to reach out to you? Yeah. Great. Now comes interpersonal deficits. Some individuals enter therapy not because of a recent crisis, but because they have long-standing difficulties forming or maintaining relationships. These individuals may experience chronic loneliness, social anxiety, poor communication skills, difficulty trusting others, and they often say, I don't really have anyone, or I never seem to maintain close friendships. Why this matters? Humans are wired for connection. Social isolation is associated with depression, anxiety, poor physical health, and reduced resilience. Loneliness is not merely the absence of people, it is the absence of meaningful connection. Okay, am I clear? Yeah. And IPT interventions help these people to improve their social skills, build relationships, and strengthen communication and increase the social engagement by participating in social opportunities, by developing trust gradually, by expressing their needs clearly. Let's say I say, Seema, you do not understand me. And I say, Seema, I feel lonely because I think there is a communication gap between us. Both has different meanings, right? In one, I'm initiating a conversation. In one, I'm drawing a conclusion. So in the one, I'm initiating a conversation, it will be more open to engage more and more, right? Now, techniques in IPT, we do communication analysis. That is what kind of communication the person is engaged in, right? The therapist becomes a detective. Okay, conversation is examined almost line by line. Okay, इसके बाद क्या हुआ, इसके बाद क्या हुआ, इसके बाद क्या हुआ, right? And we try to understand it in the best way possible. What was said, what was meant, how was it interpreted, right? Then once we are done with the communication analysis, we do the role playing also. We try to see the interactions live so that we know the non-verbal aspects of it as well. And then we go to the emotional expressions, that what needs are not being recognized, what emotions are not being expressed, which can be expressed or recognized or acknowledged, so that the relationship is at better place. Okay. This is an example of a client, Meera, who becomes depressed after relocating for work. She misses family and struggles socially. So through IPT, what we did was we built her new support systems. We managed her loneliness, engaged her in different other activities, and also to increase social confidence. I suggested her to go for workshops, to enroll in classes, or to talk with, people she travels with. Okay, so that she can improve her relationship skills and decrease her depressive symptoms. IPD can be applied in depression, postpartum depression, adolescent depression, relationship difficulties, and eating disorders. Now, talking about social support systems. Have you seen a ship? जहाज देखा है कभी? कहीं पे भी, मतलब कार्टून, मूवी, कहीं पे भी जहाज देखा है? तो जहाज क्या होता है पता है? वो पोर्ट से थोड़ा दूर चला जाएगा, अगर हम उसे बांध के नहीं रखेंगे तो। एंकर, you know anchor, what holds the ship at its place, right? In our life, we also have such anchors which holds us, right? These anchors are very important. Who are your anchors? Kindly type it in the chat box. Who are your anchors? Not any non-living things, okay? Only living things, living people. Okay, 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 okay. Great, great. So, when we have these anchors, you know what happens? We are not dealing with our problems alone. We are not dealing with our problems alone. We have supportive relationships which helps us to deal with such problems. Okay. We have relationships which tells us that you are not better off alone. You need a person and you have a person. It reduces our anxiety. It helps us to give a certain sense of, um, you know, uh, how to say, comfort, right? And I feel that in these scenarios, what happens is that we get a sense of peace also. Okay, so that is required, right? That is why social support is so important. Social support are those individuals who helps us to cope from the difficult time. They can be anyone: family, friend, partner, colleague, community, religious groups, peer support group, mental health organizations. And there are various types of social support also. Emotional support, who gives us emotional support, like, a friend listening without judgment. Okay. So last month, because my best friend was busy and she was going through something and she didn't get time to listen to me, I realized such a big social support she is to me. She never judges me. Okay. And I think this Friday, we had a call, and I was like, yeah, if you are not there in my life, I really do not have a person who listens to me without judgment. And thanks so much. Okay. So she listens to me, touchwood, she listens to me with all the empathy. She never tells me that, Shreyo, don't talk. You're talking too much. You are interrupting me. She listens to me. Okay. No matter what trash I talk, she will listen. Okay. No matter how bad decisions I take, she will listen. Also, she gives me a instrumental support. That is, for example, let's say, I need help regarding a transportation, or I need a help regarding some financial decision. She helps me with that. She has knowledge about that. Informational support. So she's preparing for UPSC. So she has all the information. She reads a lot. So I know that any news I want to know, she will definitely know. So, like, if I am not able to read it, she actually, the kind of conversations we have, so she basically, gives me advice also. Right. Then coming to appraisal support, this is something she doesn't do. She doesn't provide me constructive feedback. But yeah, there are other people in my life who give me constructive feedback and also evaluate the situations realistically. She's always biased towards me. So it's never a true feedback. It's a biased feedback. So I do not consider her feedbacks. But yes, except that, all of the things, the social support is there. Okay. Now you think the social supports which you mentioned, what type of support do they provide you? Emotional, instrumental, informational, or appraisal? What? Okay. Let me tell you. A stressful event occurs. If you have supportive relationships, you will cope very easily. If no, then you will face the adversity in much bigger way. Okay. So the damage is bigger if you do not have a social support. Family based interventions, in some cases, social support works for sure, but family intervention matters. For example, let's say I'm dealing with a problematic child. I cannot help the child until and unless the child is also receiving help at home. Okay. Like the parents are taking care and everything. So that also needs to be there. Only then there will be improvement with respect to the child. Clear? Yeah. Same with the addiction, where family intervention is required, that the family needs to keep the person away, right? Relapse na ho isliye. Okay. Peer support. So there are various colleges where there are peer support groups. That is, so even in offices also. So there are individuals selected from office who are great listeners, who connect with people, who talk, and it's like a support group, right? With same hope, validation, and belongingness, so that they can talk about their own problems. So, let's say you are a master student of psychology and you create a peer support group of all the master students of psychology. Then you can discuss your problems amongst each other, right? It becomes a whole gang type of thing, a group type of thing, that you can discuss your own concerns and everything with each other. Community mental health. So, community mental health is basically going beyond the clinic and extending your support to the groups, marginalized community, crisis community, like disaster driven community. You help them. It's a community service, like real life environment. You go to the groups and help them. Social isolation as a risk factor. If you are seeing anyone going through social withdrawal, please help them out. Please help them out to come out of depression, anxiety, substance abuse, by showing that they can stay connected and they get overcome from this concern. Now, I have a case in front of you, Nisha's invisible struggle. So, I'll read the case in front of you. What you need to tell me is, which one is the invisible struggle? Which psychological intervention will you apply on this 28-year-old software engineer? Work, leaves alone, misses her family, has difficulty making friends, and things, worries excessively about making mistakes. She spends evenings scrolling through social media and comparing herself to others. She reports feeling lonely and disconnected. I'm giving you 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You read the case and tell me which intervention will you apply. Am I audible? Yeah? Read the case and tell me which intervention is appropriate for this case. None? Great. Great. CBT, 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 CBT. Okay. अब मैं बताऊं? Okay. So this client is emotionally very much triggered. So you need to stabilize this client using क्या बोलते हैं इसे? You need to stabilize this client using mindfulness based relaxation सबसे पहले. ठीक है? Once the client is emotionally stable, then you have to um, focus on your behavioral activation, because the client is not thinking of working at all, lost interest in hobbies, avoiding friends. तो धीरे धीरे behavioral activation कर सकते हैं हम. Once you do behavioral activation, फिर उसके बाद social support पे काम कीजिए. एकदम लास्ट पे CBT का जो हमारा cognitive distortion वाला पार्ट है उसे हम अप्लाई करेंगे. क्लियर? समझ आया? आया कि नहीं आया? आया? ओके. मैं इस केस का एक कंसेप्चुअलाइजेशन का आई थिंक वो बनाई हूँ. ओके. कि मेरे पास है मेरे खुद का नोट्स. ठीक है. सो आई विल फॉरवर्ड यू दैट. ठीक है. मैं फिर से रिपीट करती हूँ. श्योर. तो इनके पास थॉट्स है आई एम नॉट गुड इनफ, जिसके लिए हमें सीबीटी अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा. इमोशंस है सैडनेस, लोनलीनेस, एंजाइटी. ठीक है. बिहेवियर है इनका अवॉइडेंस, विड्रॉयल, सोशल कंपैरिजन. रिलेशनशिप में मिसिंग फैमिली, मेकिंग फ्रेंड्स, डिफिकल्टी मेकिंग फ्रेंड्स. सोशल एनवायरनमेंट है तो न्यू सिटी है, लिमिटेड सपोर्ट है. प्रेजेंट मोमेंट अवेयरनेस कम है क्योंकि वो बार बार पास्ट के बारे में, फ्यूचर के बारे में सोच रही है. ठीक है. तो इनके लिए हम क्या करेंगे? आई एम नॉट गुड इनफ के लिए हम सीबीटी अप्लाई करेंगे, लेकिन एकदम लास्ट में. सबसे पहले हम शुरुआत करेंगे इनके जो ओवरवेल्म्ड इमोशंस है ना. शी हैज लॉस्ट मेनी थिंग्स, राइट? मेनी थिंग्स हैव चेंज्ड, राइट? तो उसके लिए we will focus on her emotions. Okay. How we will make the person stabilize by mindfulness. Once the person is mindfulness wise stabilized, we will do behavioral activation. Once we do behavioral activation, we will try to what to say, we will try to do the CBT, the changing of negative thoughts to the positive ones. Clear? Up clear? Yes, please, Nehal.
Ma'am, the steps which you have told just now, we need to do these steps like every step in every session or gradually in each session?
Gradually.
So first session will be more of mindfulness and emotions. Okay.
And also it depends on clients to client. Na? So when I got this client, I dealt it with this manner. So I shared that. Maybe when you get the client with similar problem, but with different thing, you might behave in a certain way. Right? So it depends also. So what I'll provide you with the problems the client had, the concerns, the type of problem, like whether it is a thought problem, emotion problem, or mindfulness problem, what the problem is, what the goal will be according to that problem, and a CBT the intervention which is appropriate for that person at that point of time. Yeah. I'll provide that. Now, just let me complete the whole session and then I'll take up your doubts. So your reflection exercise would be, for your benefit, you do not need to submit it. What psychosocial intervention would you like the most? Okay. In your stressful times. To summarize, what we have learned today, we have learned cognitive behavioral interventions. That is how to identify your negative thoughts, challenge the distortion, and change the behavior. We have learned mindfulness based intervention. That is how you can stay in the present, observe your thoughts, reduce your rumination. We have learned about interpersonal therapy. That is how you can improve your relationships, resolve conflicts. And we have learned how to develop social support systems for our client through emotional support, practical help, and belongingness. Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls your life. You will receive a quiz. Okay. Attempt that quiz. Your next session would be on psychology of adjustment. I'll just provide you the feedback link. What is wrong with this person? I really don't like my computer at times. It happens with you all too. Yes, here's the feedback link. Kindly provide your feedback for the session. Okay. Thank you.